regards to motion design being trendy, there has been a lot of there has been a lot of recent animations of like button transitions and just things that are not overdone, but it's it's something that's brand new to the field, and people are really taking advantage of it and working it in any way possible. Sometimes this can lead to using them in scenarios where they might not be as helpful to the user. So they look cool, but they might not communicate an idea to the user, and they could actually end up confusing them or suggesting that maybe two icons are related in a way that they don't have any connection at all. So definitely,
it's also important on like the broader scale. I mean, even with designers, like we've actually had arguments before because from the design side, there's something that's correct, but from the user side, it would make no sense, or someone just wouldn't be able to follow it, or like my mom would get frustrated with it, or it wouldn't be global. So in terms of communication, it's really important to have a balance of perspectives. So you do have the design that is strong, that's core, but you also have the developer to understand how to be efficient, and then you have someone who's a producer or a product manager that can bring in that other perspective of the larger user base or client.
Yeah, and I think that because some of these more trendy animations have been being built into apps more recently, motion design has people associate that with motion design, and motion design actually runs much deeper than just icon animations. And you want to use it throughout, from start to finish. And when you first start wireframing, if you've done some animations before, you know how everything's going to work and how everything's going to relate to each other. So it runs much deeper than just a gloss layer that's put on the app itself.
Yeah, the most important is those little tiny things that you do that I never even knew about till we started working together. But the small little micro animations that you're not consciously aware of, but that are the key to how you feel about the app and how easy it is and whether you want to come back and use it again or not.
Yeah, I guess it's comparable to how people use colors to show different, motions. If, like I know McDonald's uses a lot of red in their restaurants just to get people hungry, and people don't notice it, but it's there. Where blue is a very calming color. And animation can provide the same thing. So if you send something out, you want it to actually, go away from the user's body. Whereas if it's a data or a message or an element that they're keeping, you actually want to pull it towards them. Yeah, I think it's, I think developing, so when you're creating a visual design, most developers will spend, or most designers will spend days, even weeks, perfecting that design, getting it pixel perfect. And, you have to treat motion with the same type of care. It doesn't take the same amount of time, you don't have to spend weeks on the transition. But just so that you go through that same process and realize that all these animations are actually affecting your design, and how you can pool everything together to create a cohesive motion language, just like you would in visual identity, and they can really complement and work with each other. Yeah, you just want to be careful what animation you want to analyze what actions the user is going to be taking when they're using your app, and anything that's being interacted with multiple times a day. You don't want to overdo any transitions or animations, and especially if the app is a little more utilitarian, like a mail app. People they don't really care about staying in the app and having it be enjoyable. They want to read the message and get out of there. Whereas other apps that might be more more enjoyable to use, or more like a social network where you kind of hang out in, they can have those more, not intricate animations, but some that are, go beyond just the utility of the app itself.
And it all comes back to remembering what the central purpose is and the brand. So if the animation is drawing the eye away or the attention away from the brand or the logo or the action or whatever it is, then I think that's a good way to understand if it's too much. Even like with the piggy bank one that he did, he showed 3 different times that you could animate the text. One was at the same time as the coin flip, another one was a little bit different, and then the other one, the coin flipped, so you saw the $ very clearly, and then it finished, and then you saw the animation of the language, so the user just naturally was able to follow the whole story versus getting really distracted. And if it had been any more fancy, it probably would have been lost.
Yeah, and I think one thing that's helped me too is when you're animating an app, I actually get in and animate every piece that I possibly can. So, obviously if you have the time to do that, you could create 3 different animations for this button, this transition, and do everything you possibly can. And then once you have all those options laid out in front of you, you can get a sense if it's over, what pieces are more successful, and it almost overwhelms you looking at all those options to begin with. So I guess subconsciously you're already down the path like, hey, I need to narrow this down and only use the ones that are more successful instead of just throwing everything that you can at it. I think whatever size your team is, especially for smaller companies, you want to make sure that everyone has a little bit of an inherent sense of motion, and maybe that one person who actually does the animations themselves, whether that's in After Effects or another prototyping tool, but just so everyone understands the benefit of motion, and they could understand that, hey, we're doing this more fancy animation. It might take us a little more time to do, but it's going to help our user out, and if you're working for a client, it's going to make their app that much more successful. I think coming at animation from a almost UI UX like overarching structure view is probably the biggest thing that I took away, because I came from a more motion graphic background and creating like TV commercials, and then I ended up getting a job at Apple, and that got narrowed down into, hey, we actually need to create something that users are going to interact with and are going to see constantly. So you have to really refine your animation so it's something that can be seen over and over again, and then also really hone in those animations just so they communicate an idea to the user, and it's not something just flashy in like a glass layer itself. So it's more, you're coming at it from a more like logical point of view, where it's something that's more, not like artsy, but more like kind of flashy and just like eye-pleasing, I guess.
From an outside perspective too, it seemed like what's really unique is that you worked on very small aspects of something for a very long time, and figuring out how to stay motivated and how to still innovate even though it was something like a battery icon. And that's not something you necessarily work on as much in a smaller team or agency. And then also being able to, creating that new motion language and like driving that innovation on a larger scale, but making it so that you brought everybody with you. I mean, before, I think, iOS 7, right, people didn't really know about motion, and how you introduce that so that it's understandable and can transcend all languages throughout the world, and people can understand what it means and kind of how it comes about.
Yeah, I think education spaces like this provide an opportunity to learn skills that really aren't taught in like universities and stuff, because they typically lag behind a couple years, because it's a larger organization. They have to find a curriculum, kind of approve it, and they're always, it seems to be a couple years behind the technology. Whereas places like this and workshops, if something's created a month ago, whoever creates that can teach other people about that new technology or new idea, and get it out there really fast.
And that was kind of the structure of the college even that you went to, right? That it wasn't as typical in that he didn't have just classes that went all year long. There were internships, and like it was more of a co-op type of feel, which is a little bit more similar, I think, to having this type of space, that you're not only learning the concepts, but you're having the option to really apply them and work with lots of different companies or people from that.
Yeah, just the community and the new, like, kind of sense of like what's new and what's happening. Like, all this, spreads very quickly in these types of spaces.